MasterBoris is back with a new video. What's good in the hood? Chicken nuggets with some hot sauce on them combos. Today, another reaction video. This is a video that I caught in my timeline that I want us to react to because I want to spread awareness about, you video gamers need to know about this. You know what I'm saying? Because, the gaming industry is just corporate greed nowadays. And I spend a lot of time making previous videos talking about it with different companies like Sony and Microsoft. But yeah, this lady goes by Laura Fryer, and she looks familiar. I'm trying to remember where she came from. I'm pretty sure she used to be part of the gaming industry, gaming developer, gaming planner of some sort. But yeah, the title of this video is "The Power of Friction: Reclaiming the Soul of Gaming Development." So we're just going to get right into it and see what she says here. Let's do it.
Our future was being decided behind closed doors, and we knew it. It was February of 2000. I was just months away from finishing up Crimson Skies, and the Xbox was still a high-stakes gamble that a lot of people at Microsoft wanted to kill.
Robbie tries to talk to Bill, and Bill yells at Robbie.
If I'd had glasses on, I would have needed windshield wipers on him because he was spitting at us so hard and so fast.
Bill would yell at us for a while about these different things, and then Ballmer would take over on the business case, and the business case looked terrible.
By now, and the reason it's called the Valentine's Day Massacre is because all Valentine's Day activities are now off.
I wasn't in the room for the Valentine's Day Massacre meeting, but our team knew that everything was on the line. When Ed and Robbie walked out, they hadn't just saved the project. They had defined the Xbox culture. And in the years ahead, I saw what that meeting actually created. We became a team that argued passionately about everything. The controller, the games, the tools. To an outsider, it probably looked like we were at war with each other. But I knew the truth. We were fighting for the right reasons. We could push each other that hard because we all shared the same vision. We weren't wrestling each other.
That's the problem.
We were wrestling.
That's the problem. In the gaming industry, especially, we don't have players, we don't have key players that develop these games that have passion and creativity to make games to be video games. We just have things that people that make these games, they just put their own ideas and propaganda into them, and it doesn't need to be there. It's unnecessary. But yeah, and that's why I be shitting on Xbox brand and now Sony brand, because corporate took over and it's not the same. It's dry, bland. They try to throw everything into the wall to see what sticks instead of just being on the same page, being as a community and work on these games around the same time. There are some teams that only work on the game at the same time as they're going through the process. Like, the gaming industry is not in sync, like the group. But yeah, let's ride out.
The ideas.
I'm a game director now, and I'm co-directing with Leonard Boraski, and that's how we work.
But today, that heat has been replaced. The recent layoffs at Xbox show what happens when that friction ends. The soul fades because that intense discussion, that push and pull, is exactly what makes great things. So I have to ask, where did it go? And more importantly, how do we get it back?
So that was the first time I learned that, people can really be anti-passion in this industry.
You know the story of those early games, a small group of friends tinkering together in a basement or a cramped dorm room or some cheap office. They're surrounded by monitors and old pizza boxes. They have nothing but their passion and a burning desire to create.
We occupied the second floor, so we got broken into a couple times.
Several times, yeah. There was that crack house behind the building.
I was employee number 5. We were in one room, a room and a half. Everybody did everything.
In these teams, everyone's a maker. There are no layers of management or HR trainings every week. There are just people wearing different hats and trying to fill in the gaps because they have to.
I do a lot of the art, animation, level design, all that kind of stuff. And we basically just share all the tasks to make games like this.
I'm Matt Griffin. I'm the PR marketing director and also lead tester, voice actor, just basically anything that keeps them focused on the game, I'm gonna handle it.
The goal wasn't a fancy corporate headquarters or some award at a conference. The goal was simply to make something that mattered, to change the world.
Jason said it best, I think. He said that Microsoft is building the biggest cannon in the world, and they're pointing it right at Sony, and we can be the bullet.
Looked like I saw Halo coming. Halo, they was making Halo. Okay, let me ask y'all this: do y'all like the new Halo campaign involved? Is it just as good as the original? Exactly. It's a shell of its former self. Let's ride out.
Canon, and we can make a really big impact on the course of the game industry.
The mission was simple. We like the tech, we like games, and we like each other.
The workplace that was something like when I used to get together with my friends in junior high school and high school to play Dungeons and Dragons. We just all waited for the weekend to roll around so we could play games, and then we played games all weekend and lived off of almond joy bars and Cheetos, and you couldn't tear us away from playing games. And that's the kind of environment I wanted to create.
We're going to make something cool. And while they're still figuring out exactly what that game is, it's the team vision that carries them through those passionate debates.
We had the advantage 20 years ago of being really stupid. I mean, being really young, but that young is stupid.
That's pretty cool.
In that mindset, like anything is possible, so you just get started and then you figure out what's hard in the way.
This is what I think of the Computer Game Developers Conference.
Even the Game Developers Conference started with that same soul, the drive to share, to learn, and to figure out what games could become. Chris Crawford, who literally wrote the book on Atari development, started GDC in his living room.
We were sharing stories with each other. So it was very, around the campfire kind of idea. That's really all we talked about that first weekend was common problems, common solutions.
But years later, Chris gave his famous dragon speech. He told a room full of developers that the industry was losing its soul, that we were becoming too corporate, too safe, and we'd forgotten why we fell in love with this in the first place. He ended the speech by literally charging out of the room to go chase the dragon of artistic greatness. That speech hit hard because it came from the man who started it all in his living room. He saw the heat being traded for polish and safety decades ago. We adopted that same defiant spirit in the Xbox ATG team. Our mission was simple: help developers make their games great on Xbox by making the tech get out of the way of the art.
They were saying, we're going to fix this. So more of the money is going on the screen, not just trying to figure out the convoluted hardware. And that was like, really? I mean, that was like oxygen.
See, a lot of people, because I already made previous videos talking about Xbox and how they are in their business practices of today. People thought I was just shitting on Xbox just to shit on Xbox. No, I'm shitting on them because they're not the same. Like, I really like Xbox. You know what I mean? Especially back in the OG Xbox 360 days. It's just the fact that they want to buy up everything, every studio, pretty much every, gaming company, and put it up for foreclosure. Corporate greed is what took over. Is what makes that company not it. And they probably wanted to do it all this time since the beginning, beat PlayStation by just buying everything. And not really competing. Not to sound like a broken record, because I said this many times in previous videos, but that's just how it was. And you see Laura and those other guys, they probably knew that. And it was like, nah, because there's probably some good people that worked inside of Microsoft and Xbox years ago. They only cared about making great games, but they got pushed and shoved out of the business.
Engineers, we had artists, we had audio people, we had designers. We had a team of game makers to support the game makers. And that shared vision was the soul of our team. It was the foundation that allowed us to wrestle with ideas. But being aligned doesn't mean being quiet.
That my passion in having these meetings can be off-putting.
Great people have friction and lots of it. And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, the friction of creatives pushing against each other is where the magic is made. But that can't happen without trust. It requires people to forget themselves and play in the space of the game, in the space of the ideas, rather than the space of their egos. When you watch a great team debating a feature, it can look intense. To an outsider, it might even feel like they're angry.
Do you feel like it's pretty close to functioning the way you guys want it to be, or not? You know how much?
If you think the AI sucks, say the AI sucks. I mean, don't ask me how I feel about the AI.
But they aren't wrestling each other. They're wrestling the idea. And in that effort to find the solution, they forget themselves. They aren't in the room anymore. They're in the game. It's almost as if they are the game wrestling to become real. It's not personal. It's passion.
Epic delivered, Epic over-delivered. They did a great job for E3. And I think that creative difference, that conflict, is the way you get a better game.
And this is why smaller teams often find more success. They have the trust to let the social noise fall away so the game can take center stage. In those rooms, nobody's offended if voices get raised or people get interrupted, because everyone knows you're not fighting each other. You're fighting for the best version of the game.
It was Leonard and I in our office, and I talked about it. And it wasn't us arguing. It was just us talking and on the whiteboard and going over things. And, you know, to the people at Obsidian, a lot of them thought we were arguing. And if you actually would listen to what we were talking about, we were trying to figure out if an idea would work.
And that's the soul I'm talking about. Games aren't just the code or the art. It's the relationships, the shared belief, the willingness to fight for an idea in service to something greater. And when that trust exists, that's when you get the magic. Because you don't just get games that work. They feel like they have a heartbeat, a soul.
It's no wonder that the game feels the way that it does, which is like, that's a fantastic thing, honestly.
And to be honest, like for us, it was even a surprise to see how appreciated it is. Because like sometimes we feel like we went too far, but no, like it works well for people, and like we are super glad about it because it's like really like the game is pretty much the studio soul put into video game form, where we don't like to take ourselves too seriously, but also we want to like touch on some very deep and personal themes. So like we are super happy to see how much it connected with players, and I think it's a testament that people want to feel the soul of a game when they play it.
Yeah.
They built a masterpiece that carries their team's soul. You can feel the high trust, the real alignment, and everyone having skin in the game.
A group of friends with a shared vision and the drive to make something great.
And let's be honest, that is a terrifying way to work. It means if the game fails, you go down with the ship. There's no corporate safety net to catch you. No next project already lined up by the parent company. That pressure is immense. But for Sandfall, it was a catalyst. Some of them had never worked on a project this size before. Some hadn't worked on a game. But they brought that raw passion with them. And they built a team that had space to discuss ideas passionately because they were all pulling towards the same dream. And because they had to get it right. Or look at Team Cherry, the makers of Silksong. After their huge success, they didn't hire a massive team or move into a fancy office. They stayed small, independent, and true to what made them special. Silksong took longer, but they didn't cave to that pressure. They just wanted to make something great together. And they did. Fans sometimes grumbled about the wait, but they showed up because the game reflected their brilliance once again. It proved that protecting the process is worth the time. So how do we reclaim that soul? Well, we build teams that trust one another, and then we protect them.
This is just how I am. If you want to make games with me, this is how I am. I get really excited about things. When I'm excited about something you design, you're going to love it. When I'm excited about something I've designed and you want something else, you're going to hate it.
We make sure that everyone on the team has skin in the game. That means more makers and a lot less managers. Teams where everyone pitches in when needed. And we have to stop being afraid of healthy friction. It's okay to disagree as long as there's enough trust that everyone can commit once the decision is made.
If one disagreement is going to make you write someone off forever, you're going to live in a very, very small circle, and it's going to be a bubble. People will only agree with you 100%. And let me just tell you, you're not going to get better games out of that little bubble.
And look, the industry doesn't need more polish and politeness. It needs more heat.
And people over, and it's not that you have to be mean, but I think I've seen when I was working at Google, sometimes people were actually too nice to the point that they didn't want to step on somebody's toes, so they didn't want to give direct criticism. And then that made the product suffer a lot. And we made decisions where we really didn't care. We cared more about how like we as the engineers felt than what the actual users felt.
What's interesting to us are people who, yes, are flawed, but who care deeply about each other. And conflicts arise because they have different perspectives on what needs to be done.
I'm sorry about Adia.
We need more teams that are brave enough to protect their soul and to stay true to themselves. Teams like Team Cherry. We need people like we had in the early days, where the game reflected the trust, the delicate balance. You could feel the soul of the team when you played the game. And friction, that wasn't a problem. That was fuel. But it's hard work. It means being willing to wrestle with ideas, set aside egos, and it means facing hard realities together. But we've seen it work before, and we're seeing it work now, and I think we can reclaim that soul.
We're going to have to start learning today, here, now. Come, dragon, I will fight you. Sancho Panza, my sword. For truth. For beauty. For art. Charge! Charge!
Shout outs to Laura Fryer for that video. Hey, listen. And I will say this, you know, me, like, my dream job was to, like, be like a game director or the gaming planner of some sort, which they wouldn't hire me because I'll be too real for them and hardcore with it, because, you know, the gaming industry space is not what it used to be. And we're seeing that. And that's why, you know, when she explained, you know, about Team Cherry, that's why I like the indie titles, because they're making games that's creative, that they're passionate about, and they're on the same page. Without a healthy relationship, there is no structure. You know, and there's a lot of that going on. It's just corporate, what the corporate wants things that just sales and not just try to go outside the box or do their own thing. When it comes down to these gamer programmers and the developers, not just taking a chance on to make something better with their IPs or doing a new IP. And we have that going on today. And that's why we have some of these AAA titles be BS most of the time when it comes down to Western developing games. And, you know, the Eastern developing games being censored. I like the fact that Eastern developed games are being censored. And it doesn't need to be. But yeah, she's right. We can reclaim it. But it's up to the industry. It's up to, you know, gamers alike, you know, what they want. Just like we fighting against this whole Sony thing with the no disc, no buy situation. But like I said, guys, it's not going to really matter. They already made a choice. They already said earlier, that they acknowledge the fact that, you know, that we are passionate about physical, you know, disc, but they're still going to go through it, the all digital thing with the PlayStation 6, you know, after January 2028. Okay, we got that going on too. But yeah, I would like to hear y'all in the comment section down below, you know what I'm saying? Let's have a conversation about this. Leave a like, hype the video up, subscribe if you're new. I do a variety of videos here, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.